Welcome back, book nerds. Like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. I wanted to talk about The Lost Metal. I've already done a spoil free talk on this book, but I wanted to actually talk about this book for a minute because this book had some great things in it that I really wanted to discuss. This book, it's so good. I really love the book, but there's a couple things that I didn't love about it. So I'm going to really kind of discuss it right now. Things that I really loved about it. It was really fun to get all the cosmere connections that are thrown into your face. And it was really fun to dive into these characters that have been around for a minute. And it was really cool. Books that you really need to read to get this book. Elantris, you have to read Elantris, and you have to read the Stormlight Archive. And Warbreaker, the Investigator, is all over the place in this book. And definitely, Era 1 Mistborn. You got to read Era 1 and Mistborn. I mean, why would you be reading Era 2 Mistborn if you haven't read Era 1? But there's a lot of connections to Era 1 that have never really been in the past. Because in the past, it's always just kind of been myth and lore about these characters. But now, it's talked about way more. Okay, so if you have not read Stormlight, and certainly if you haven't finished Stormlight, you are going to spoil yourself hardcore with this. You are going to, if you haven't realized or you haven't read who the leader of the Ghostbloods is, it's going to end it all right in this book. So don't read this book. If you haven't read Rhythm of War, go read Rhythm of War, then read The Lost Metal. Because if you read it first, you're going to ruin it for yourself. And I know this is a spoiler talk, but I'm not going to say who the leader is and who shows up in this book because it's just too big. It's too big for me to drop it. Even if you want to know. If you want to know, just go read the book. There are major connections with the possibility of book 5. And Brandon, I think, was really laying the foundation down in this book so he could write about it in book 5. Because Maresi, she's going to be in book 5, and I will be shocked if she's not, because he set that up for her to be in book 5. And I'm sorry, 100%, she's going to be in it. Now, some of the things that I didn't like about the book, so all the other books had a very good mystery aspect to it, a detective story. It was very Sherlock Holmes-esque, and this one didn't really have a lot of that. And it kind of fell into place. It was not like Wayne and Wax had to discover what was happening. They just kind of like happened to them. And even though there was a great ending, I thought it was a satisfying ending, but character-wise and wrapping up an entire era didn't quite feel like it was completely done. Now, the end for one of the characters was great. So this is a spoiler talk. So when Wayne is gone, like, he literally sacrifices himself and saves everybody. He saves the entire world, and there's connections that wrap up really nicely with his death. And it fits really well. You know, all the way from book 1, when Wayne accidentally shot and killed the father and husband of that family that Wayne is just tormented with. And even in this book, he's still tormented. He goes and sees her all the time, and he comes to the decision that he's not going to go see her. He's not going to torment her because she can't move on with her life, even after all these years, because Wayne won't stop going to her. So he dies. And he's rich by this point. He's got so much money because he's invested very wisely, and he leaves like all of it to her and to her family. and it was kind of a nice gesture that they were kind of destitute, and then suddenly they're rich and not having to worry about anything. And now Wayne's gone, so she can move on. So it was a nice tie up from early on Wayne when he was so tormented and never able to forgive himself. A very good stopping point for Wayne, and it felt right. I liked it. I liked the end for that character. There's a lot of epilogues. Like even in the book, even in the book, even in the book, it's epilogues. There's like 10 epilogues in this book because there's so many people, so many character arcs to wrap up, and it felt like a little too much to me. I think it could have been done a little easier, but as a whole, it felt right. As a whole, the book was fantastic. One of my favorites. Number 3, I would say. Were 3 favorite books that Brandon has ever written. Say, Lost Metal, Mistborn, Way Kings. So, I loved it. Do you love it? Read fantasy.